What is up? Good morning and happy Saturday. I know there's a lot of people getting ready for college football. Kicks off in about an hour here. Not too many games on today, but there is a very good matchup later this evening with Michigan and OU, Oklahoma Boomer Sooners. But as we get in today, we're gonna break down and we're gonna talk a little bit about the Chargers versus the Chiefs game last night. Chiefs fall to the the LA Chargers, 27-21, after they could not get the Chargers off the field on a very pivotal third down where they went with some man coverage. And I didn't really watch the play, but they went with a form of man coverage, whether if it was two man and they lost outside contain with Herbert, and he was able to run for about 20 yards and slide down safely inbounds, and they were able to run the rest of the clock out. But the very funny thing about this game and the interesting thing about this game, I was at the bar watching, and I ended up being around a Chargers fan, and we started talking about, midway through the third, late in the third. And he started talking about, we'll find a way to mess this up. And, we're looking good right now, but we'll see what happens when we get down into the crunch time, into the last 6 minutes. And I shared the same sentiment with him. I talked about how, the Chargers, they've been closer in games, last year with Harbaugh. I think they're starting to change that mentality and what that can be as well. But they're going through this phase where you want to be in these close games. It's not something you want to be afraid of and shy away from and be scared of, like, oh my gosh, it's a 3-point game. Like, we usually don't win this. No. You sit there and you think, man, it's a 3-point game. All right, let's go win this. You know, and or we have the lead. All right, defense, it's up to y'all. Y'all got to go stop them. And the game was not very back and forth. Chargers jump out to a good start early, go down and they're able to score. And then from that point, the Chiefs. A big thing with the Chiefs, man, they play up and down to their competition, and I've been saying that for the last couple years. And they're a great team. I'm not sitting here saying that they're slappies or anything like that. They're a great team. But, when the Bills come in there and you need to score 40 points, they can go score 40 points. When a lesser team comes in there and it's a dogfight and you end up getting out of there 17-14, they can do that too. But it seems like, it's kind of like you're playing your little brother in the outside in the backyard in the basketball court or something. You'll play him and then you're playing around with him, and then he hits a couple shots on you and he's up by 8, and you're like, all right, now I got to clock in now. Let me stop playing. And that's when you kind of, lace up your sneakers a little bit tighter and you go out there and get them, and you bring it back and whatnot. But I've noticed that with the Chargers over the last couple of years. Now, granted, they're two-time defending champions before this year. So they're gonna get everybody's best shot all the time. They're gonna get everybody's best shot. So that's the thing. What can you do when you're always getting somebody's best shot? It means that this team that plays, 17 to 20 games every year, they can't come in half stepping. Now we know when the Chargers get into the playoffs, they're pretty much unstoppable. They play at home. They got that guy at quarterback. They got that walrus that's calling the plays. They're gonna be all right. And as you can see with his weapons, like, their offense is kind of stunted. And I don't want to make this all about them, but this is just my quick synopsis. They said they're going to be taking more deep shots. They hit Worthy on a broken play. Um, they also completed everything's pretty much 10 yards and under, and they're still doing that. They took a couple shots, or they made that look like they were going to take a couple shots. But also one of their receivers went down early on the first drive, and that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about Xavier Worthy, who's probably their number one receiver. They're a guy they like to get the ball in his hands, whether if it's a run, a reverse, get him a screen behind the line, whatever it might be. And he goes out early with what looks like to be a shoulder injury or maybe a collarbone injury. I won't speculate too much, but he ran into Jason Kelsey Travis Kelsey, sorry. Travis Kelsey on a crossing route. Travis Kelsey kind of it's supposed to be a rub route, essentially. It's supposed to be a rub route. They're supposed to kind of come really close to the point that Travis Kelsey can kind of screen for the person that's following him and guarding him, and maybe give him a little bit of leeway to catch the ball and come out the back end. But this one didn't happen like that. He runs into Travis Kelsey. He injures his shoulder or upper body or upper extremity area, leaves the game in the first quarter, never returns. From that point on, and let's just talk about the Chargers, because the Chargers did an excellent job being balanced. They and this is what's different from the previous Chargers teams. And sorry, I'm always going to talk about this, but the previous Chargers teams are kind of careful, I would say. And one thing that you've seen under Harbaugh is that they're gonna be a little bit more aggressive. They're gonna trust in their offensive line to get a yard or two on a third and short or fourth and short. They're gonna put the ball in Herbert's hand and trust him more than they have in the past for him to make the right decision. And that's one thing that I really like about Jim Harbaugh. I played against Jim Harbaugh when I was at college at the University of Oregon. He was at Stanford. Played against him when I was with the Atlanta Falcons. He was with the San Francisco 49ers. He's a coach that's going to build up the offensive line. They're going to be good. They're going to get a very good running back, and they're going to be able to run the ball and protect the quarterback. And then on the other side, they're going to be able to play some defense. And so it's in year two, so they're still building it. They're out there left tackle right now who just got paid and then got hurt 2 weeks later. But as you can see, they got a special dude back there at quarterback. And if you give him some time, if you give him some space, if you give him some protection, he's going to be able to make some great things happen. But they did a good job staying balanced. They stayed balanced. They didn't run the ball too much. Amarion Hampton had 17 carries, ran the ball effectively and efficiently, in my opinion. But then they also just did a good job of just not being, okay, first down we run, second down we run, third down we pass, or first down we run, second down we pass, third down we. It was a lot of different stuff. And whether if it was some play action and rollout and getting the ball out of Herbert's hand quickly, Keenan Allen was big this game. Lad McConkey was big this game. Quentin Johnston was big this game. And the jury's still out on him for me. So you ain't got to worry about me with him. He still catches with his chest a little bit too much to the point that he's not 100% confident with his hands. And you saw that with a drop earlier on a touchdown. And so he's still growing. He's in year, still young, year 2 or 3, I want to say, year 3. But I look back at the film on him in college and he was catching the same way pretty much. So it's going to take a while to break that habit or for him to feel confident that his hands are good enough to catch the ball. And so just saying those 2 things or those 3 things, he has these receivers. Glad Keenan Allen is back. He might have lost a step. Doesn't look like they're going to be asking him to do as much. And granted, he just got back to the team a little bit over a week ago. So it's not like he's about to come in and be the same Keenan Allen he was because they got new people here. They got Lad McConkey. They got Quentin Johnston. They got people that they're working in where it's not, Keenan Allen, you're not our featured guy, but you can still make some great third down and possession catches and get us some yards where we need it because that is a tough, second or third option to guard. But they did a good job staying balanced, running the ball. Lots of good throws by Herbert, lots of smart throws. And one thing that I really, really love about Jay Herbo this year, he's taking off and he's running more. He's saying, all right, he's up in the pocket, he sees green and he runs. And he started doing this a lot more last year. And I want to say it's because he's been so injured in the pocket. Him staying there, him taking some hits. He's like, nah, forget that. We gonna make something happen on the ground, even if it's 5 yards, 10 yards. And he's so big, man. Once he gets going and once he gets rolling, he's not slow. He's not slow by any means. He just doesn't run as often as a lot of other quarterbacks do. But he's finding out that that's another tool in his tool belt. And when he does that, then defenses have to account for you a little bit more. They might have to spy you with the linebacker or a defensive end or drop a safety down to give you more of a spy technique. And you won't be able to do what you've been doing. And so that's good because that's one less person in coverage. And Justin Herbert can make the right decisions when he has to, when he's back there throwing the ball. So you talk about those things. They had a good first half, settled for some field goals here and there. Were okay in the red zone, 50%, 2 of 4. And then I'll just go ahead and I always like to look at the stats because the stats to me tell a lot about the game. But he was super efficient, 25 of 34, 318 passing, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, took 3 sacks, QBR of 88.3, and a QB rating of 131.7. So that's as good as one of not as good as you can be, but that's very, very good for your first game out there against a very good Kansas City defense. And on the other side, Pat Mahomes, 24 for 39, 258 passing, 1 touchdown, 2 sacks, 80 QBR, and an 89 QB rating. And so the Chiefs, they struggle to get it going on the ground. Pacheco had 5 carries. Hunt had 5 carries. And without Mahomes as their leading rusher with 57 yards and a touchdown, that's not going to cut it for you guys. While on the other hand, Amarion Hampton, 15 for 48, 3.2 per carry. And then Justin Herbert added 7 for 32 for 4.6. So neither team ran the ball super well, but You look at things like third down conversion and the the I was gonna say call them 49ers. The Chargers were, was it 7 for 14 or 7 for 13 with about a 50% conversion rate. And the Chiefs, on the other hand, were 5 for 14. So they're hovering around 35%. But each team was perfect on fourth down. Chargers 1 for 1, Chiefs 3 for 3. But essentially, anytime I look at the game sheet or the stat sheet for the game and I look at the teams, there are a couple areas where I'm like, I can look at these areas and I can kind of determine what team won based upon those. That is, one is time of possession, two is turnovers, and three is third downs. And like I said, so first, you talk about time of possession. The Chargers had them by about 5 minutes. I think it was 32 minutes to 27, which is pretty balanced when you look at it. Then you look at, third downs, like I just stated. The the Chargers were over about or hovering around or over 50% on third down. Chiefs were about 35%. And then you can also factor in fourth down since a lot of people are going for it. So the Chiefs still made up that way. But one of the biggest things, like I said, you look into those things, you look into red zone as well, or turnovers. They were both perfect. Oh, did I say turnovers? Turnovers, they were both perfect with no turnovers. But also the thing is, the Chiefs were one, either 1 for 2 or 1 for 3 in the red zone. Hold on, let me double check because I hate telling y'all wrong information because I know y'all be trying to talk stuff. Yeah, the Chargers 7 for 13 on third down, Chiefs 5 of 14. And then in the red zone, the Chiefs were 1 of 3 and the Chargers were 2 of 4. And so when you look at that, 1 of 3, not super bad, but that means you get into the red zone 3 times, you come away with 1 touchdown for 7 points. Then you go to the Charger side and 2 for 4, so they're 50%, but they come away with 2 touchdowns. So 2 touchdowns and 2 field goals versus 1 touchdown and 2 field goals is a point difference of 7 7 is 4. Sorry, I took math 111 3 times in college, so excuse me. 7 7 is 14, and that's 20 points versus 2 and 2 is 6 and 7 13. So that's a 7 point difference. Is that right? 7 7 is 14, and then 6 is 20. 7 and 6 is 13. 7 point difference, right? Yeah, 7 point difference. Oh, well, I'm not tripping. That's a 7 point difference, 7 point swing right there. And I'm trying to make sure I'm correct on everything I said. And then you look at total yardage, is pretty much the same. Chiefs 347, Chargers 394. But this is what I'm gonna tell you. So just watching the game, it was good watching them. Justin Herbert super efficient. I still don't feel like he has I feel like Lad McConkey is his go-to, but I still don't feel like he really has a guy that can go out there and just make plays or make a play or for them, but everybody know the ball's going here and they can still do that. So he's still having to go through his reads and find his right read. But nobody's eye popping out there. Like they haven't spent any real money on a receiver ever since they let Keenan Allen and Mike Williams go a couple years ago. And I think that's just a travesty for Justin Herbert. And everybody saying, well, he's getting paid all this money. He should be able to do everything. Hey, man, Joe Burrow got Jamar Chase. And then even up to Kirk Cousins had Justin Jefferson. Like you could name every big money quarterback in the NFL. Tua has Tyreek Hill. They got a game breaker. Like a lot of people got game breakers. Dak has CD Lamb. Like, come on. Matthew Stafford has Puka Nakua and Devontae Adams. Like you can go around the league and every big major quarterback that you name, and Lamar Jackson has he has his go-to. He has a I'm gonna call him Michael Andrews. Um, he has his go-to in Andrews. I forget his name. Why am I blanking on his name right now? Um, he has his go-to in Andrews, and then he has Isaiah Likely, and then he also has a speedster. I forget his name already, but he had Zay Flowers. Like he has his receivers, and everybody has their everybody has more than Herbert right now. And I'm not saying that's the Chargers' fault. That's 100% the Chargers' fault. That's the organization's fault. Like, get him somebody. You look at everyone around. They just drafted a running back. They paid their left tackle. They got Joe Alt there, but like as far as weapons, they don't really have one, and so that's the organization's fault. But you got to have a go-to to go to. But I want to take this time to just talk about one very specific thing, and this is why football is so important. And this is why you got to play to the end of the whistle. You got to play to the end of the quarters, to the end of the half, to the end of the game. The Chargers had the ball, and the Chiefs were trying to get it back right before half, but the Chargers ended up being able to make a first down, and they're in position to score or to get some points before the half. Now, I'm not exactly sure 100% how much time was left. I want to say it was maybe around 50 seconds. The Chargers is third and long. The Chargers do a run play. The Chiefs have no timeouts. Marion Hampton gets the ball, breaks the run, gets to the sideline, goes out of bounds with about 49 seconds to go. So the clock stops. Chargers come on, they kick a field goal, but that's, 40 something seconds you give the Chiefs to go get in the field goal range. Not blaming Amarion Hampton. He's a rookie. He's going to learn. He's going to be a really good player in this league. Amarion Hampton, if he was aware of the situation, when he broke outside or when he got outside and realized he wasn't going to get the first down, he should have slid or got tackled and stayed in bounds. He gets tackled and bounced. They could run another 35 to 40 seconds off the clock before calling the timeout and kicking their field goal. And then that leaves the Chiefs maybe 5 or 10 seconds to drive down the field and get in the field goal range, which they would not have been able to do. So the Chiefs are able to steal 3 points at the end of the half. And it was beautiful how they did it and how they set it up. I even lost track of, what down it was for them because I thought after they made that completion and got tackled in bounds, they kept winding the clock, that they were going to come spike it and then get the field goal team on. So that would have been on me. I would have messed up because they would have been, that's fourth down and that's turnover on downs. And now you go into the locker room at halftime. But the Chiefs were ready. So they did this thing called bazooka field goal. Bazooka field goal is when you guys know either you guys don't have any timeouts or after the next catch that the offense is going to need to run off, the field goal team is going to need to go run on, and they're going to need the clock is running, so they're going to need to hurry up, get set, snap it, and kick the ball. And they did an awesome job at this. And it was 59-yarder. So it's not even a chip shot either. It's 59-yard field goal by Harrison Buckner, who's a really good kicker, been one of the greats, struggled last year. And they were able to do this. So that's a 3-point swing that shouldn't have been there. And so when you look at the Chargers and it's, oh, woe is me, and they're the same old Chargers, those are one of the things you look at. And me being just a person who looks and digs into football just a little bit more, I'm able to come away with that because during football, we always talked about these situational practices just like this. Time running down. They have no timeouts, or we need to get out of bounds, or we need to stay in bounds, like those types of things. Like I said, Omarion Hampton is going to learn from me. He's going to be okay. He's going to be good. But those are the swings that you guys talk about. That's momentum for the Chiefs. They went down and got some points. And as they were struggling, they had 3 points at that time. So now they have 6 at halftime. And so that was a major, major lift to them as far as execution, because you get a fulfillment out of being able to do something and operate something at such a high clip that you guys practice and practice all the time just to do it once or twice in a full year. And I think you could see the happiness in everyone's face because you saw coaches giving them high fives. Everybody was happy about the whole operation because that's the way you draw it up and that's the way you teach it. But just outside of that, man, the Chargers were one step ahead of the Chiefs the whole game. And I thought it was one of the biggest and most pivotal points when Harrison Buckner misses that extra point that would have tied it up. So now they're down by 1, if I'm correct. And then now the next time that the Chiefs score, they got to go for 2, and they don't get that either. So then now they're down by 2. So that's why extra points and all this stuff matters, because that changes a game when the Chargers are driving down. And now the Chargers can say, okay, well, the game is at 6, but we're going to kick a field goal and put the game out of reach and put it in a 2-score game at 9. Then the Chiefs get the ball back and are able to go down and get really close, but don't get a chance to score. Now they got to kick a field goal to make it a 1-score game. But now they give the ball back to the Chargers and they don't give it back after that, which surprised me because usually the Chargers would, and usually Mahomes would do his thing and they would end up getting a win. So all in all, man, very good game by the Chargers. I think this is a good way to start. No, this is a great way to start the season. They go to Brazil. They win against a division rival, a person or a team that they were 7-1, 1-7 against over the last 4 years. So Kansas City has really had their number. Justin Herbert has played good, struggled sometimes, not been able to pull his team through. And then they turn around and they'll be on the road against the Las Vegas Raiders next week in Vegas, and I got to look that up. It was a scheduling conflict or something like that. But pretty much they'll have a home game in Las Vegas stadium, but the black hole's gonna show up and everybody's gonna be there. And so they got a chance to go 2-0 in the division to start the year. Like, wow, 2-0 in the division to start the year would be huge. Because after that, you just got form in my opinion, of course, everybody know Kansas City is the team to beat, but you jump out to a 2-0 lead, you only got to win about three more games against these people to be considered the to win your league or to win that division, which is very good. So as you got to go through Mahomes every week, every year, I should say, that this is kind of a good starting point. Now the Chiefs are going to be there at the end because they're always there at the end. But very great game by the Chargers. Lots of clutch plays, clutch catches. Herbert taking off, showing his wheels, showing what he can do, throwing great balls with a lot of zip on it. If they can keep him upright, if they can keep him, hands, feet, fingers, shoulders, ribs, all that good stuff, if they can keep him in good health, the Chargers have a really, really good chance to do some great things this year. And I really like Harbaugh because he's going to shore up the offensive line, like I said. He's going to protect the quarterback. They don't want Herbert throwing 40 times, 45 times a game like he was. He can do it and put up 350, 400-yard games. But when they're able to run the ball effectively, they can call some better plays. They can protect them a little better. And they can chew up that clock is what they really like to do because they want to put that pressure on the opposite team. So what did you think about the Chiefs win today? I'm just very happy, excited for them. They got after Mahomes a little bit, but not too much. But you can see that they're a solid defense. Love Dicker the kicker. He is money. He's automatic. He's one of my favorite players when it comes to just watching somebody do something at a high clip. And so I'm gonna be rooting for the Chargers this year heavy. I don't think I'm gonna go to a game because I just don't like going down to SoFi and paying $100 a park. And I like to watch the games at the crib. So let me know what you think about your Chargers, how you're feeling. Are you optimistic about this year? Are you still worrisome that you guys didn't show enough? But if this is a team that they have this year, being down their left tackle, we'll see how they play throughout the year, staying healthy with who they come up against. But I'm really looking forward to them playing and going against the Las Vegas Raiders next week with their new head coach, Pete Carroll, with their offensive coordinator, Chip Kelly, who was my coach when I was in college at the University of Oregon. So that division is going to be very interesting and something to follow. So that's just a quick little wrap up talking about the Chargers' victory in Brazil this past week. I'm glad the field and the conditions were good. Let's be sure I got to say that too, because last year the Eagles and the Packers are slipping and stumbling and falling everywhere, every other play. So kudos to the NFL for using all that money you have to make sure the field was up to par and beyond what it was the year before. And outside of that, y'all, we're gonna start catching in and clocking in. We talk about the Chargers and I was gonna say the Raiders. We talk about the Chargers and the Rams. Since I'm here in LA, those are the teams I want to focus on. So if you're a fan of either of those teams, click the subscribe button on this channel, and you'll be able to hear from me at least once a week leading up to and after the game. I'm Drew Davis, aka Uncle Drew. I will talk to you guys.